feature you here on the air. We always say we're the show about small business jobs and entrepreneurship, and you are truly making a difference in all three of those categories. So I love to get to know the person behind the microphone, hear the story of the group, and hear some of the successes. Marty Gilbert, welcome to the program.
Great, thank you. Great to be here.
It's great to have you. So tell us a little bit about the history of the North Shore Executive Networking Group. And I know you have an acronym, so we have to make sure we plug that as well.
Sure. Well, the acronym is sometimes referred to as NSENG or NSENG. It's a classic lemons into lemonade story for myself personally. I've been through a few different job searches during the course of my career, some of my own choice, some not of my own choice. I gathered together about 5 other people and formed what I called the North Shore Executive Networking Group. We were all in a job search ourselves. I landed rather quickly, but I kept the group going. And what started with 6 people today is over 5,700 members. As a result, I was holding meetings every other week and getting a lot of great speakers and doing a lot of great networking during the course of these meetings. But after about 7 years of doing this, I decided to take this side gig and turn it into my full-time gig. And so I left the corporate world to do the North Shore Group on a full-time basis, and the result, I've been able to extend a lot of different services, which have included webinars and workshops, a lot of one-on-one coaching, and then now we're also doing talent recruitment for a lot of companies looking for great talent here in the Chicago area.
And Marty, what I mentioned a moment ago was I've been following your story and most importantly the successes, which I can relate to quite a bit because, as I believe you know, for a bunch of years I was involved in essentially the same story, starting a networking group, and the need is tremendous. Both people out of work looking for jobs, companies that are looking to hire, and small business owners that are looking to connect with each other. The analogy that I always give is, a realtor needs a photographer needs a lawyer needs an accountant. It's just a matter of connecting the dots, and I think that that's exactly what you've done. So, again, I'm chatting with Marty Gilbert, the founder and CEO of the North Shore Executive Networking Group, and you have a range of experience of job search coaching for really all different levels of individuals that are in the job search, as well as, like you just mentioned, on the talent recruitment side, companies that are looking to hire that are sitting for so long with open positions. Let's get into some of the weeds, if you will, of some of the advice that you might have to share. And, of course, we'll make sure our listeners know how they can get a hold of you for any of those services and for some of those networking opportunities. But, Marty, you've surely seen some trends. Let's start on the job search side. What are you seeing is the difference between somebody stuck in the job search for a long time versus somebody that's finding a job quickly, really regardless of what level of professional they may be?
I think one of the keys and one of the greatest skills of a job search is the ability to be resilient. The fact is there's going to be a lot of peaks and valleys in the job search. Sometimes when you think you're down to the 1-inch line and that job is yours, and for very strange reasons, it just doesn't happen. You've got to be able to rebound very quickly. But what I'm finding is that even though we're at all-time lows in unemployment, for folks over the age of 50, we're probably still double-digit in unemployment. And the folks that are going to land the quickest are going to be the ones that are willing to do things that other people aren't. And this is what I refer to the what the hell approach to job search. It's become my moniker, and I've been known as the what the hell guy. And what it is all really about is what the hell do you have to lose by doing things that other people aren't? By reaching out to companies that don't have advertised jobs, because most people that are in a job search will spend 90% of their time answering online ads. And their odds are officially 200 to 1. But when there's so many companies that are in your sweet spot, in the industries where you've been, reach out to them. Get in touch with key people within that firm, because all you need is one person to do something with your email and forward it on to the hiring manager or somebody in talent acquisition. And now you get some activity going on your behalf, and it creates some great exploratory conversations.
So don't just apply blindly, but network and make sure you're networking your way into a job. And that sounds like it can work, like we said, for any level of position.
Absolutely. The best jobs are the ones that are written around your background. And so when you are the first one in, when there's not a job, you are essentially writing the specification for that job because, quite honestly, the best candidate does not always get the job.
So, Marty, it sounds like being strategic
Absolutely.
the quality is more important than the quantity when it comes to the job search.
Yes, and likability is such a key piece of the job search because as you start to engage with your audience, you've got to find ways to connect the dots between your background and that particular need in the job or with that company, and that's where you start to make yourself more memorable and likable.
So, Marty, you mentioned a little bit ago about some of the resources that the North Shore Executive Networking Group provides. I want to touch on webinars because that's something that some of our listeners might not be close to the North Shore. So what kind of webinars and what kind of education is your group offering?
So I've created a library of webinars, and this is with folks that have been keynote speakers at my meetings. And it's anything from LinkedIn and how to use it more effectively for engaging and identifying potential companies that are of interest to you. It could be about interviewing skills, resumes, LinkedIn profiles, personal branding, your elevator pitch, any number of things. You can find them on my website because they're all available for folks to go in and purchase at nsenginc.com/webinars. But what's really nice is that I like the webinars because for 60 minutes, it's talking about a very specific topic, and we're getting deep into it.
That's fantastic. And at the heart of what you do are the meetings, the in-person meetings, the in-person educational opportunities, but also a lot of networking goes on behind the scenes. Let's talk about the frequency of the meetings, where are they located, and perhaps what are some of the upcoming opportunities?
So all of our meetings are held at National Jewish University in Skokie. And we hold them every other week. They're held in the evenings from 6:15 to 8:30 p.m. There's always two elements to the meetings. There's a keynote speaker on one very specific topic that's germane to the job search. And in the second half of the meeting, I divide everybody up into smaller groups. So if we have, say, for example, maybe 100 people at a meeting, I'll take everybody and divide them up into groups of 10 or 12. And in that small group session, everybody gets maybe about 3 minutes on the clock to tell a little bit about their background, what they're looking for, and most importantly, if they have a target company list, this is where the networking has huge power because when you can share with a group of people what companies you're interested in, now you've enabled them to help you. And this is where a lot of people go wrong in networking because they're not clear on what they're looking for and what companies they want to break into.
Absolutely.
And
you said about the strategy.
Absolutely. And some of us have several thousand connections on LinkedIn. But for those people that don't put them to good use, it's a lot of wasted time and potential value.
And I think often some people discount the fact that it actually is helpful to network with other people that are in transition because they have a Rolodex. Nobody really uses a Rolodex anymore. They have a LinkedIn database of many, many thousands of contacts from their career, especially when you're talking about professionals over 50 that have been working for decades. They have a lot of contacts. So let's touch on the other area of what you do, more recent addition, the talent or the recruitment side of things. The rumor out there is that the economy is getting better. Of course, it's only getting better for the people that have found the job. For the people that have not, it's very, very tough. You mentioned a specific age demographic. What trends are you seeing? What kind of jobs are out there?
My organization is, these are professionals. Everybody in the group has been working for at least 10 years. And I would say the vast majority of them are between the ages of 40 and 65. And they come from great backgrounds. Most of them are coming from Fortune 1000 companies who have had a lot of layoffs. What people need to do is they've got to really identify what their value is. And how do you connect that to various companies that might have opportunities and those that don't? The networking is a key piece of this. Because I tell people, don't ever discount somebody in your network because of their title. You never know who they live next door to, who they're related to, who they're friendly with. And it's those kinds of introductions that can be hugely valuable because I find that most people are getting connected into companies that are ultimately getting them a job, and it's through somebody they didn't know before they started their job search. And that's the power of networking.
Oh, it sure is. Well, Marty Gilbert, you've shared a wealth of knowledge and information for our listeners. And I know you've got a lot more at the upcoming meetings and webinars and so on, so I want to make sure people can find you. How can they get a hold of you?
Well, they should go and visit our website. That's nsenginc.com. They can email me at martygilbert1@gmail.com. I'm also on LinkedIn, and they should absolutely join our LinkedIn group. And that's an opportunity to get involved in dialogue with a lot of the other members.
That's fantastic. Let's share that website one more time.
It's nsenginc.com.
That's fantastic. A lot of upcoming meetings, a lot of upcoming networking opportunities. You don't want to miss a minute of those meetings. Whether you're in transition, whether you're networking for your business, get a hold of Marty Gilbert. Connect on LinkedIn. You've got to be on LinkedIn. Marty Gilbert, thanks for joining me on the air. I appreciate your time. Coming up after the break, I'm going to be joined by a returning guest, Tom Arabali, an insurance expert. This is a good time to ask your questions. I'll be back on Get Down to Business right after these headlines and a very quick break.
This year, for Valentine's